Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and my name is Tabitha, and today we are going to talk about Norbert Gambit, how you can buy US stocks by not paying huge conversion fees when it comes to converting your stocks, your money to get the US dollars to buy stocks from the US market. So avoid conversion fees. But how do you do it? So most of the time, the many platforms they charge 2% when you're converting your Canadian version to the US dollar. So when you do that, they charge 2%. But when you are buying like a huge amount of converting the huge amount of your money to US dollars, it will cost you a lot of money because 2% is not small. So how do you avoid that? You have to use the Norbert Gambit. So Norbert Gambit is a system that help you convert your stocks in Canadian dollars to the US dollars version, and then you sell that one to get the US dollars that you can use to buy other stocks in the US market. Now let's look at it. So if you are new to this channel, subscribe for more videos. And thank you for subscribing. Now let's look at it. So Norbert Gambit is the system that will help you convert journal your shares that are in Canadian dollars to your shares that are in US dollars. And then once you have the US dollars shares, you can now sell them and get the US dollars cash that you can use to buy other stocks in the US market. So it is the cheapest way to buy US stocks because it allows you to journal the Canadian stocks into US stocks of equivalent value. So that one is like this stocks or maybe this ETF that you use to journals are used for exchange purpose. So the value is always the same and it's always equivalent to the rate that is used that day to convert US to Canadian dollars. So it's always the same, it's the same value. This help you to avoid currency conversion fees, which could cost you a lot of money. So how do you do this? How do you go through this process? So I will show you how much you have to pay if you are not using Norbert Gambit and you want the US dollars money. So if you're using without Norbert Gambit, the conversion fee would be 2%. And I'm talking about like this is Canadian amount. So you want to convert your 2000 Canadian dollars to US dollars. So you have to pay 2% of that 2000. So that would cost you $40 Canadian dollars. But if the amount that you want to convert is big, right? So you will take 2% of 10,000 and that will cost you 200 Canadian dollars if you want the US dollars cash to buy other stocks. But if you are using Norbert Gambit, so the cost is a bit lower. So you don't have to pay 2%, but you will only have to pay $4 or around $5 when you are selling these ETFs that are used to track US exchange. So you only cost you $5. $5 is better than $40, or it's also better than that 200, right? So how do we go to through this one, Norbert Gambit? So the first step is by buying ETF called DLR.TO. So maybe there are other ETF that are used to track the US dollars exchange with the Canadian dollars exchange, but normally I use the DLR.TO or DLR.U.TO whenever I'm converting, journaling this stock. So the first step, you buy this one. So this ETF is in Canadian dollars. So this one. So the next step would be now what do? You call the customer service. Other people, they text them or you email them and ask them to journal your stocks. So you have to specify that from this account, this account I have this amount of number of shares of DLR.TO, and I would like to journal them to the US dollars version, which is the DLR.U.TO. So you call them, you ask them to journal that. So this one is in Canadian dollars, but this one is in the US dollars. So the transaction will take 3 to 4 business days. So if you check maybe after 2 days, you can find that the transaction has been settled and you now have your shares of the DLR.U.TO, which is in the US dollar. And you can now go ahead and sell that one, pay your $5, and you have the US dollars amount that you want to buy other stocks in the US market. So that won't take 3 to 4 business days to settle the trade. Sometimes it could be 2 days, sometimes 1 day. So it depends. So, and then after that, you have your DLR.U.TO in US dollars. So you own it now. It is in your account. So the next thing will be to sell this version. You will sell this amount, sell it now. When you sell those shares that you own, you will have the US dollars amount, and you can now use it to buy maybe Apple stocks, buy Tesla, buy this other one, but you have really avoid the conversion fee of 2%. The only thing that you'll pay here is 5% when you are selling the ETFs. Most of the time when you're buying the ETF, you don't pay anything. But when you're selling the ETF, you have to pay $4 when you are selling. So that is it for converting or journaling to USD. So you have to buy the DLR.TO, call the customer service to journal it to DLR.U. Once you have the DLR.U shares, you can now sell them and you get your US dollars. So these are shares, but also it works vice versa. So if you have the US dollars amount and you want to convert them into Canadian, and maybe it's a huge amount, you don't want to lose money through conversion fees, and then you also do the same way and the other way. So take your money of the US dollars, buy the DLR.U.TO, call the customer service and tell them to journal that amount to DLR.TO, which is in Canadian dollars. Once you have that, you can now sell that amount and you have your Canadian dollars cash that you can transfer to your account or maybe use it to buy other stocks that are traded in Canadian dollars. So use them, buy those of BMO, buy those of Sun Life, whatever, all those stuff. So that is it. So you can use it the other way around. So how much does it cost now when you are using the Norbert Gambit? It will be only $5 when you're selling either of the stocks, either of the DLR.CO or DLR.U, depending on which side you're going to. So once you want the US dollar, when you're selling the DLR.U.TO, when you want the Canadian dollar, your final step is DLR.TO, which is in Canadian. So you pay 4.95 as the fees. So now let's look at, let me just show you. I don't have the money today, so I can go through the process of from step 1 to step 5, but I will just show you how you can Google the DLR.TO and maybe explain the thing again as on question. So now you're on your Questrade account and you would like to give example on how you can do it. So at this point, I'm not really journaling any. Now you're on your Questrade account and you would like to, I would like to give you like how you can do it by giving you step by step, but I do not have the amount of money to show you the whole example because like let's see here. So if you want to buy, you want to journal now, you have the amount. The first step is that you have the amount that you want to journal to US dollar. So let's say, for example, you have 10,000 Canadian dollars and you want to journal to US dollars. So you don't want to pay conversion fee of 200, so you can buy US dollars stocks. So you go ahead and use Norbert Gambit, which is like the process that gives you the chance to convert your shares from US dollars from Canadian dollars to US dollars. So let's do that. So when you want to journal your Canadian money to US dollars monies, the first thing will be you buy the DLR.to. So this is the global US DLR.co at the ETF that is used to track it's used to track like the exchange rate for the US dollar. So DLR.to is in Canadian version. So you go ahead and click buy or sell, right? So when you come here, you calculate the amount of shares that your money can buy in DLR for DLR.to. So if you get that amount, it will show on your position side that okay, you own this amount of share of DLR.to, which is in Canadian dollars. So from there, you can now go ahead and call the customer service and tell them, can you journal my shares of DLR.to is in this account, and this is the amount that I want to journal. If you have 500 DLR.to shares, you can tell them you can journal all of them to the DLR.u, right? After 3 business days, you will have now the DL.u.to. So once they generate, they will generate. So the amount of shares that you have now, they are in US dollars version of this ETF. So when you go back to your account after 2 business days, you will have that one 500 or the amount of shares that you have as DLR.u.to. This one is now in US dollars amount, which is equivalent of the Canadian dollars when it comes to exchange rate in currency thing, right? Because it's used to track the currency. So you see this one is 10.25. That is the price for DLR.u, and you know the other one was like 14. So it's like this value is the equivalent value of the exchange rate for Canadian version. So it's 14, this is 10. So if you do the calculation, you will see like it's the same, it's equivalent of that value. So once you have this one, you will have them on your positioning site. It will show somewhere there and you click on them and say sell. So if you sell that amount, you will now get your US dollars cash that you can now use to buy other stock in the US market. So, but you will only pay $5, at least around $5 to do the whole transaction. So, but vice versa, if you own US dollars money and you want to convert them in Canadian, you want to journal them into, you want to convert them into Canadian dollars. So you start by buying the DLR.U.TO, call the customer service to journal that those shares that you own for DLR.U.TO, which is in US currency. And then once they journal them to DLR.TO, which is in Canadian version, you can now click on it and sell. So depend on which direction you're going. So if you're buying, if you want for US dollar, you start with the Canadian version. If you want the Canadian dollars, and then you start with the US version, and it's the same process. And I hope that makes sense. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe for more videos, and I will appreciate your business. Thank you and see you next time.